gente, o Inside está começando. Passou a BGS, passou aquela correria, vocês viram várias matérias bacanas de pessoas que foram entrevistadas no Inside, jogos novos, lançamentos, enfim, a cobertura da feira inteira.
É, gente, mas eu não sei se vocês perceberam, mas faltou uma coisinha, faltou uma entrevista com aquele que é incrível, aquele que é o cara, aquele lindo, maravilhoso, não, Nelson, eu tô falando mesmo é do Phil Spencer, confere aí a entrevista.
So Phil, first of all, welcome to Brazil.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
And a few days before BGS, Microsoft did an event for the fans.
Yeah.
And it was your first contact with the Brazilian gamers. So, what was your impression?
Well, first I'll say that at that event here, the Brazilian gamers have been very, very welcoming and so passionate and enthusiastic about games. It makes it so easy to be here. Our event, we held in the evening, and I came out on stage, and people stood up and they cheered. And I've said, I don't feel like they're cheering for me. They're cheering because they're happy. They love their Xbox. They want to see games. Like, we're all there together. Like, I stand up and I applaud because it's together. We're just enjoying the industry and what we do and the craft. And but I'll say that Brazil has been amazing. I was told when I came to Sao Paulo, I have to get the Brazilian pizza.
Yeah.
We were able to get the Brazilian pizza. It was excellent.
Did you like it?
It was awesome. Yeah. It was. There was one that had this soft cheese. What is the soft cheese?
Mozzarella?
No, it wasn't mozzarella. It was kind of I don't remember which, but that one wasn't my favorite. But they brought in like
Maybe 4 cheeses.
maybe I don't. But it was. But overall, the pizza was great. We went to a barbecue. That was fantastic. So it's been. I've never been to Brazil before, but this trip here has made it a place I love.
Perfect. It's great to hear that. Since you became the head of Xbox, what was your biggest challenge?
I don't really think about them as challenges. I think about it as opportunity. And I think we have a lot of opportunity in front of us. When we started, we had some issues where we needed to give the gamers more choice in what they wanted to buy, whether they wanted Connect or they didn't want Connect. We tried to loosen some of the restrictions around what worked behind Gold. But the biggest thing was just to make sure that everybody believed Xbox was a brand for gamers. Because I think at our launch, there were some questions in people's minds about whether we were gaming or television or entertainment, and all of those things are important. But first, we have to be great at games. And the team believes that, the teams that work on Xbox, the studios that build all the great games. I wanted the fans and the customers to believe that. And like events the other night where I see people so dedicated and committed to Xbox just reaffirms with me that we're on the right path and we're making progress in everything that we're trying to do, and that's great.
And for the future, what's your major goal as head of Xbox?
Yeah, continue the mission we're on. We have some interesting things that have happened. We shipped Windows 10 about 2 months ago now. One of the things I want to make sure Xbox is about gaming and gamers. And I think it's easy for people to get just focused on the Xbox One console. And Xbox One console is incredibly important to us. But I also know that people play games on Windows and other devices. And I think we have an opportunity to make that experience of playing Xbox games something that you can experience when you're on a Windows machine. And that's been a focus for us recently as the launch of Windows 10 has come out. And we've built Xbox Live into that. We've had millions of people join Xbox Live who'd never been on Xbox Live before, only through Windows. And I think that's great. And as an organization, we see that opportunity to have our Xbox customers be connected to Xbox Live on every device they're on, be able to play with their friends and make sure they can play the games they want to play wherever they are. That's really our vision going forward. It starts with success with the Xbox One on the television. That's our core. We always have to be great there. But we know our fans play games on other platforms, and we want to support that.
In a recent interview, you said something like that. I don't want to be part of the console wars.
Yeah.
Okay? We know this happened since Nintendo versus Sega. And do you know why people fight about it? And do you think companies have some responsibility in this subject?
I don't know about responsibility. I mean, I just say, maybe sometimes I shouldn't, but I just say how I feel. And you know, I've been in, as you know, I've been in the games industry for a long time. Before head of Xbox, I was head of our first party studios, so the games around that we see that are exclusive to Xbox. And I'm always, you know, I think about the act of creating something, whether it's a piece of music, a piece of art, all of those, like that's such an amazing accomplishment of somebody creating something new. I want to celebrate when people do things that are great, when they, and I know there'll be great games on other platforms. I want to have great games on Xbox. That's what I can control. I want Xbox to be a great place for people to play, but I don't think about that against someone else. I think about it doing it for what we do. And you know, Uncharted is a great game. Mario is a great game. And but I can only control the things that we do on Xbox and help us create the best environment for people playing. So it's more about what we do with Xbox than it is against someone else. I have friends that work at Sony, Nintendo, Activision, Valve, and we're all trying to do the same thing, the best job we can. I want to make Xbox a great place to play, and you know that's where our team is focused.
And that's why you're not an average executive.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are. You're probably from a generation of players who are now reaching the top of companies. Do you believe it? So what's the difference between a boss player and a boss who never played?
Now you're getting me into trouble, but I've said it before.
Because you play, right?
I think it's really for me, and I can't talk about how other people lead, but for me and in the Xbox organization, if I don't enjoy the content that we play, that we build, if I don't feel a connection with the product I work on, you know, I don't think I do my best work, and I don't feel like I'm authentic to the people that are here. You know, when I walk around and I get my picture taken with people, more than getting my picture taken, I have a discussion with them about what they're playing. I almost always ask them, hey, what are you playing? And I want to have a real discussion with them about, you know, they paid money to come into the Brazil Game Show, to bring their families in, to see the content. This is an investment for them. It's something that they love. And I feel like my connection to that same art form that they enjoy just helps me think about our product better and hopefully understand our customer a little better.
Okay. We received a lot of messages from people worried about Xbox One games being released on Windows 10.
Yeah.
So, can you explain why this is good for the console?
Yeah, I get the same, you know, questions and concerns from people. I'll say a couple things. First, I do think there are games that exist on Windows and games that exist on console, and it's definitely not in anybody's vision at Xbox that we would force games to ship somewhere where they don't play well, because the gameplay has to be the most important thing. For us as a business, like I said before, if people want to play our games and they're on Windows, I think that's a good thing for us, it's a good thing for Windows, and it's a good thing for gamers. If somebody doesn't want to play games on their television, they don't want to play games on a game console, I don't really feel like I should do things that are divisive to force them to have to go buy an Xbox One. Obviously, I work at Microsoft. Windows health is a good thing for the company, but more important than that, I want to give the gamers choice in where they want to play. And if people want to play sometimes on their Windows machine and sometimes on Xbox One, I want to allow people to move back and forth. If people want to play on their console against people that are on Windows with crossplay, I want to enable that. I really want to give people the choice of where they want to play. From a business perspective, and maybe, you know, some people will care, some people won't, it's also good for us when we sell more games. It allows us to build more games. It's part of a healthy business. So if Quantum Break sells more copies, if Halo sells more copies.
Makes sense.
And yeah, so if we can give more places for people to sell their games as part of what we're doing, that's also just healthy for the business and lets us invest in more.
About exclusives, especially the old ones. Why? Yeah. Why some franchises just don't get new games? Example, Top Spin.
Yep.
the best tennis game ever made. Mech Assault,
Mech Assault, yeah.
an amazing multiplayer.
Yeah.
Why so many others? Why not? What's the problem?
Well, the biggest problem is finding great development studios to do the work. And every one of these has a specific story. Topspin we actually sold when we sold the studio. It wasn't, it was before my time, but they sold it. Same thing with Amped. People ask me about Amped, the snowboarding game. Those are both part of the same studio.
Buy back.
I could buy back. It could just be that easy. Just go buy them back. Let's just go buy them. But you want to find a studio. It's like we brought Killer Instinct back, and our work with Double Helix and Iron Galaxy on Killer Instinct. It was really important to me that we found a studio that believed in what we were trying to do, understood the game, and you see great work happen when that happens. We announced a reboot of Phantom Dust a couple E3s ago, and it's painful now that I don't have things to say about Phantom Dust, but we lost the studio.
But I have a question about it.
I will answer it now. We lost the studio, and I don't have a studio to work on it right now, and I don't want to just do something to do it. I want to do it right. So finding a studio that understands what a game is and the kind of core and investing in that, is more important to me than just checking a box. Now, I will say, Mech Assault, Mech Commander, like that whole franchise is something that I have a lot of love for. And I think about the opportunities across multiple platforms with the whole mech universe.
Bring it back,
please.
please.
Jordan Weissman, who created that whole world, is a good friend of mine. I talk with him all the time. And I'd love to see us, I'll just say that, I'd love to see us do something with mech.
Do you think Hair can make a new Conquer game someday?
Yeah, they might.
Please. Please.
They're really passionate about Sea of Thieves.
Me too.
The work they're he wants them to do all the games. He just one person on each game. That's what they'll do.
I have a list.
I love that. Also, Battletoads. I get asked all the time, when's the new Battletoads game coming? It's like, how many games can they do? It's hilarious.
Conquer first.
Conquer first? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's Sea of Thieves first. I just love the fact that Rare is back doing a Rare game. And I say that, and I have a ton of respect for what they did with Kinect Sports, and it was incredibly successful and good for the studio. But I also know I was around when we acquired Rare, and there was a certain charm and gameplay that Rare was very good at nailing. And seeing and playing Sea of Thieves now, I see them. Greg Mayles, who's one of the original designers of Banjo, has been there for a long time, still there. Now he's on Sea of Thieves. I feel like, okay, this is a new old school Rare game, right at the same time. And it's a special opportunity to get to work with them on that.
Okay. A big one. In which way do you think Microsoft could expand their franchises? Although the company has Halo and Forza as two huge brands, it also has other great titles who could be brought to life again, like I said before, Topspin and Mech Assault, but also Midnight Madness, Hardy Sport Challenge, Blue Dragon, and so many others. How hard is to balance between old names and new ones like Scalebound and Record?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something we think a lot about. I love the new stories, and we've said before, I think our lineup this year is fantastic. When I think about Rare Replay and Gears of War and Forza and Fable and Halo, our relationship on Tomb Raider, I love all of that. But at the same time, I can't wait for next year, because we're going to have Quantum Break, brand new, a game and a story and characters no one's ever played before. Scalebound, Recore, we've got Crackdown coming, which is a reboot, but it's another game that's been away, I'd say, for too long. So as a gamer, I love those new stories, and they're risky, right? They're the hardest things to do, create something new. I mean, the last time a brand new AAA IP came out and did incredibly well, I mean, you look at Destiny did well, but there's more that don't work than work. And it's the hardest thing to do, but I love focusing on new. But at the same time, a game like Halo, a game like Gears, which we can hear behind us, those games have millions and millions of passionate fans who want to play the next version of the game, and it's our duty and our opportunity to continue to work in those universes, not only in the games that people have played before, but also expanding. I mean, I think Bonnie Ross with the Halo team has done a great job, not just with the Halo game, but the video work that the team has done, the books, the story that they tell. You know, she's expanded that franchise into something that's more than just a first-person shooter that ships every 2 or 3 years.
Scalebound and Record are two amazing games coming from great Japanese developers.
Yeah.
Can we expect more new IPs from Japanese developers? Do you think about making a partnership to Xbox One, like the one we saw with Mistwalker in the Xbox 360?
Yeah. You know, I love going to Japan. I didn't make it to the Tokyo Game Show this year, which was a bummer for me. I have many good friends in the Japanese development community. You talk about Kamiya-san working on Scalebound. You know, that's just, it's so, Inafune-san obviously working on Recore. The opportunity to work with a culture that's so rich and has such a great history in video games, and the people there and how they think about game development is very special. I love building games in Japan. We're not the strongest platform in Japan. Obviously you have Sony and Nintendo. It's kind of their home turf there. But keeping the relationships with the developers there and the publishers, you know, we get great support from the publishers there, is important. And I think we'll continue to try to build and build games coming out of Japan. We don't have anything to announce yet, but our relationships with the development community there is very strong.
Can you say anything? You talk about Phantom Dust, but I have to ask: is this still in development?
Right now, we're between developers. So we had an idea of what we wanted to go build. We obviously had a partnership that lasted for a while, and then it stopped. And I really believe in the idea that we have around the game, and we have a lot of the original team that was around when we first shipped the game. But right now, we're not making a lot of progress on it, but I remain committed to it, and I want it to be something. I think, and I know it'll be like a joke to some people, but Phantom Dust, if you played it on the original Xbox, had a lot of mechanics that you see in today's games. And I just think it was, you know, it's a cliche to say it was ahead of its time, but I think it's one of those games that its time can be now. I think it can be great now, and we just need to find the right partnership.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Look, these people are amazing.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
The cameras should get all the people. They're way more interesting than we are.
How do you choose the user suggestions and define which features will be implemented or not in the dashboard or in the system?
Well, certain people might know we have a feedback site on the web, and it's great to get the feedback on Xbox.com.
But you get a lot, right?
We get a lot, but we do have it all sorted, and people can vote on items and they float to the top. Backward compatibility was one of the things. Speed of the dash was another thing. You know, now I think about items that people want to see. Background music is one we get asked a lot about. Install times is another one we get asked a lot about. That connection with the people who are actually using our product, with their suggestions, not only in things that maybe they wished worked better, but things that they'd want to see new, is important. In terms of how we rank it, one, we just look at the ranking of the sorted by votes.
Okay.
We have a vision of where we're trying to go with the platform, and then we look at the items that are kind of on the roadmap, and we say, okay, what do we think fits? Some of the things maybe aren't possible because we'll get the, hey, I should go buy Amped, and it's not possible. But it's a mix of our vision for where we're going with Xbox and the user voice items. I'm really proud of the work the platform team has done over the last year. They've made incredible progress on the platform. I'm really excited to see the launch of Windows 10 and the new UI next month. I think people will be really impressed with the speed and ease of use that they see, and we'll remain committed. We run our platform as a service. We think about the operating system of the Xbox One as a service that we want to upgrade on a regular basis and continue to make better.
Okay.
And it's been a lot of learning in how to do that, but it's definitely paid off for us.
Okay. You said the most amazing moment at the last E3 was the backward compatibility. And
You were there, right?
yeah, I was, and I woo, of course. Did you imagine this feature would become so popular? And when did you decide to bring Xbox 360 games to the Xbox One?
Yeah, so let me answer the second one first. Right after I took the job as head of Xbox, it was one of the items that was very high on user voice, and we talked about whether we could do it, and we didn't know, to be honest. We didn't know if it was going to work.
How hard is it?
The people that have done it are crazy smart. Like, their heads are like this big.
Okay.
They're really smart people. I call them our code ninjas, right?
Okay.
Because for people who care, the 360 is a power PC. So the CPU inside of the Xbox 360 is a power PC chip. Our Xbox One is an x86 chip, an AMD chip. So different code architecture. So we actually have to translate from PowerPC code to x86 code and have it run exactly the way it did without the developer touching anything. So all of this happens without the developer of the original game doing anything. And the fact that it works is just is crazy. So we didn't know. So we started in probably May of 14, did work on it. And it was probably December of 14 where the team came in grinning and they handed me a controller and they booted up Perfect Dark Zero. And they didn't show me the console and they were so proud. And it was broken all over the place and textures were missing, but they had it running. And you hit the guide button and the 360 dash came up, and that's when we said, okay, I think this is going to work. That's when I wanted to tell people because I knew like certain people were moving from 360 to Xbox One, and I didn't want them to sell their games. I wanted to tell them, no, like when you sell your console back, because certain people will sell their console back, go keep your games because those games might run. But I couldn't, because I didn't know if it was going to work. But through the spring we figured out that it was going to work, and we started to get a really good success rate, and we're going to ship next month with over 100 games and add new games every month. Like it'll be great. What was it? So I answered the first part of the question.
Yeah. When do you decide it?
Yeah, so that was in April when we decided. And he said,
did you imagine the future would be so popular?
The fan reaction.
Yeah.
So, I think the fan reaction was
because it was like football.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I mean, and I've said this story so many times that I'm sitting in the middle of the arena, and there are these monitors that I'm reading. So the people who are behind me that are turned to see me, they can see what I'm getting ready to read. So if you watch it, before I even said anything, like I don't think anybody heard what I said. Which was fine. Like they were. I think two things that I think backward compatibility is a great feature, and it's a respectful feature to people that had a 360 and owned content, to say the content you bought from us, we're going to work to make it continue to work on Xbox One. So I just like the respect that shows. I also think what you felt, at least I felt this way, was people saying, yes, the team at Xbox understands who I am, and they're doing features that I care about. Whether they're going to go back and play all their old 360 games or not, it shows that it's a feature that hopefully represents who we are, the respect as a team that we have for people who buy our product. We don't take people who buy Xbox for granted at all. Like even now, I'm sitting in Brazil, and I've gotten a lot of questions about, hey, you still sell a lot of 360s here. How do you feel about that? And I say, I love it, right? I love when people come into Xbox. In fact, for them, backward compatibility says the games you buy for your 360 now, you're going to be able to continue to use those when you move forward. But we want to earn every customer that we get every day with all the decisions that we make. And I just thought backward compatibility was a nice moment where I felt the crowd kind of re-energized of, yes, this is an Xbox for me. They're doing things that I care about. That felt great. And I had the team that worked on it was actually in the arena, and watching them when the crowd just went crazy was special, because it's not always true that everybody on the team gets to feel the reaction of the work that they did. In that case, they happened to be there. They were there for that moment, and it was special.
As a player, I can't thank you enough.
Thanks. Well, thank those ninjas. Thank the team there. Kevin LaChapelle, the whole team. I wrote no code for that.
Multi-disc games like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey can also be part of backward compatibility?
Yes, we are working on multi-disc. So I'm a big fan of Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon. Multi-disc with backward compatibility is something that's on the list. So last time I sat down with the team, it was interesting. I said, we should figure out how to do this. People want to go play these games. They're actually hard to find now if you want a copy of Lost Odyssey Blue Dragon.
Extremely rare.
Yeah, so I said, if we did this, even people who don't own the games, they would go and they would buy the games to go play them again, and they're not that expensive now. So the team took it as a challenge. We're focused on our launch right now, and the games that are there, they're not part of the launch, but the team's pretty committed to making it happen.
It's harder than the average game.
Yeah, it's not harder from a... It's in the technical team. It's not harder from a emulation standpoint. But what happens is the game is actually in multiple packages and gets installed on the 360 hard disk. You've got to find all of the game in one package because we don't want to go through an install process. It kind of gets messy, but it has to do with the fact that the game exists on multiple disks. It's not impossible.
But it's going to work someday.
I think it's going to work someday. I will say that. I think it's going to work someday.
So let's say I'm playing an Xbox 360 game running on my Xbox One,
Yes.
and a friend of mine is playing the same game running on Xbox 360.
You guys can play together. You are, the system thinks you are on an Xbox 360. You can chat with your friends on Xbox 360.
Thank you.
You can play. You are playing a 360 version of the game. Yes, on a 360. It's the way it should be. I didn't want to create, now you've got the people on 360, the people on Xbox One, and they're separate. I wanted them all together, and the team did it the right way. They did it the right way. Yeah.
So, in less than a month, we saw the first Brazilian game released to Xbox One, Aritana.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah. What do you think about the Brazilian development scenario, and what's necessary to make it bigger?
I think time will make it bigger, right? I mean, I got to meet a lot of the indie developers here at the event. They were there the other night. You know, Aritana especially, I love the fact that the Brazilian culture shows up in the game. You talk about, I love that they thought about control in a different way. I think that's fantastic. I would spend a lot of time talking to the indies there, and it was interesting that, you know, some of them have day jobs and they do this at night, right? You think, which is so great, but it's also like, in order for this to work, it's got to be a real business. They've got to make money. So I talked to them about what can we do to make the indie scene all up. This isn't specific to Brazil, but I want indies to feel like the planet is their market and they can sell games everywhere Xbox One is, and what can we do to help promote. You know, promotion's hard because you have a lot of games and very limited space, building great games. So I try to play a lot of indie games. I do play a lot of them and try to point out games that I think are great. Aritana is a great game. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, if you haven't played that, it's a great game out right now in the indie space. But really it's about creating tools for them to make money. And this is an area where Windows can also be very helpful. Because when I look at these games, obviously consoles have an install base, and it's a big install base of people who love to buy games. Though we just announced that we passed 110 million Windows 10 installs already. So that's a big, big number. So if I can make it easy for a lot of these indies already are developing on Windows and console, and now they can use Xbox Live in both places, they can let those players play together, so it seems like one, as talked about before, one connected system. It just means more people that they can sell their games to. That's a big opportunity for a lot of the indies as well that they want to take advantage of. But I think about the Brazilian community specifically, I think it's just time. Yeah, I love seeing it. The Brazilian culture is so special. It's, you know, the world celebrates the Brazilian culture. When the World Cup's here, which we won't talk about the game, when the Olympics are here, right? People will,
no game.
They love the Brazilian culture, and now I see it showing up in video games. That's fantastic.
Okay. So, how did Microsoft came up with the idea for the Elite controller, which is great, by the way?
Yeah, it sounds funny. We just love playing games, so we think about what would we like to make our gaming experience better. And I love our base controller, but there are things I thought we could do with our controller from a texture, from a customization. People have asked about button mapping changes. People have asked about the feathers on the back.
How long did it take to make it perfect?
Oh, man. So I had my first prototype probably in January, where I was starting to play, and we're shipping in October. So it was probably, and they had already, they don't give one to me until they like think, okay, we're close. And I probably went through 15 different iterations where, you know, here's a new one, because there's some buttons on the bottom. There's trigger controls because you can create quick triggers on it. So the weighting of it, the texture of it, the color of it. There were a bunch of things that we went through. I mean, we spend a lot of, same thing with the chat pad. We spend a lot of time testing our own stuff and then giving them out to some pro gamers so they can give us feedback on how it's working. All of that feedback is critical, not only in the software, but also the hardware. I probably played 15 different versions of the thing before we found one that we said, okay, this one's right. And you know what? We'll ship it and we'll even learn some things after we shipped it because people will give us feedback, things they like and things they think we can do better.
About the cloud computing. Can you explain in an easy way how does it work in Crackdown and what's its potential for games in the future?
Yeah, so in Crackdown, I guess probably the easiest way to think about how it works, the local machine knows what it has to render on the screen, the pieces it needs to draw to the screen.
Okay.
So every frame it says, okay, here's all the rubble and I need to draw it.
Okay.
And then the next frame, here's all the rubble, I need to draw it. What it's not calculating is where all the rubble is moving. All of that is done in the cloud. So all the physics, when things hit each other, they bounce off of each other, they hit each other and they break into two pieces. All of those physics calculations are done on servers in the cloud, and then they just send down the positional data of where the things are, and then the Xbox One can say, okay, here's where everything is, and I will just render that. So when things are colliding, things are breaking apart. That's why when you see the destruction in Crackdown of the buildings, you get such detail, small pieces, the physics of how things bounce all work together, and all the local Xbox One has to calculate is the rendering and then your character and your bullets. So it's able to separate some of the functions, which works really well, and it creates amazing experiences. And we're playing a lot of it right now in the office, and it's Crackdown, which I love. In terms of how it will play in other games, we're really focused on Crackdown first, but we also announced the acquisition of Havoc. We announced that last week. So we're definitely invested in physics as a service and something that we would want to offer to other game developers. We'll start with Crackdown because we want to test our own stuff and make sure it works the way we want it to work and that gamers like the experience. But we build it with the idea that other games could use it.
Make us out. That's the answer.
Or about our Conquer. You can conquer physics. What are they doing up there? Look at all these people. It's so amazing. That guy just won something.
Yeah. Bill Gates once said in his book, The Road Ahead, Microsoft is always 1 decade ahead in terms of technology.
Yeah.
Thinking about Xbox division, how far ahead in terms of research and technology are you compared to games we see today?
Well, I think the thing we've shown to date that's probably furthest ahead is HoloLens and some of our game ideas around HoloLens. And HoloLens is a few things. One, it's obviously a device, a display, control. It has a Kinect in the HoloLens, so that's how it knows the area around you and where your hands are and things. I think the next for us, so we started with Kinect in how do we remove input as a barrier to people playing games? Because not everybody grew up like you and I did with a controller in our hands playing games or a keyboard and mouse. So we said, okay, if we can remove, and obviously the Wii did a great job of this as well, if we can remove controller as a barrier, that will make gaming more accessible to more people. And I think that worked, not just for us, but for other people as well. When we look at HoloLens, it was how do we remove the display as a barrier so that I have to be around a television or a monitor? Is there a way for me to always have a screen present with me, so whether I'm playing a game, I'm using an application, I just want to know what the traffic or the weather is, I could always bring that up. And what you see in HoloLens is our push to get rid of output as an issue. A couple things I would say are beyond that we're thinking a lot about. One, which isn't really beyond that, but it's an interesting area, is 3D printing and how real world mixing with the virtual world can create unique gameplay experiences, whether it's through 3D printing or objects that you own. Minecraft's got a lot of interesting ideas there, because Minecraft in a lot of ways is digital Lego, and you can think about the mix of what things people do in the real world and in the virtual world. The other thing is, how do you actually, people laugh, how do you get rid of any control and actually try to have what people are thinking about influence what happens in the virtual space? Is there a way, when you think about where a HoloLens is, right, it's around your head, and if you could get somewhere where your ideas and your thoughts actually could have an impact, I mean, now you're talking a decade out plus, but I think it really can open up some opportunities. I mean, the thing with games now, you have more people playing games than we've ever seen, whether it's Candy Crush on your phone, Clash of Clans on your iPad, League of Legends on your PC, or Halo on your console, or Uncharted or Mario Kart or anything else. You have all of these people playing video games and enjoying it. Some of them call themselves gamers, some of them don't. But we think about how do you continue to open it up so that gaming feels as natural a form of entertainment as watching television, going to the movies, listen to music. And we want to make sure that input's not a barrier to that, and frankly, content's not a barrier, which is why I love diversity in the kind of content that gets created.
Do you think in someday we can imagine HoloLens working with games?
Oh, absolutely.
Like Xbox One or the next generation?
Yeah, I mean, we showed X-Ray at the Devices Day on Tuesday in New York. X-Ray is a game idea that we've been working on. Yeah, we've shown Minecraft. We've also shown Minecraft on Oculus. We've also shown Minecraft in HoloLens. I think, really, and this goes to just how important gaming has become, any device that works that people buy now, phones, tablets, anything, gaming is always the number one form of consumer application, right? It's the biggest thing in the iPhone store. It's the biggest thing on the Android store. You have huge stores like Steam doing great business. So when we look at a device like HoloLens and we look at the future, absolutely games are going to be important. Today, HoloLens is a untethered device. Everything is in the veil. You could think about scenarios where the mix of HoloLens plus something that had the ability to compute in the room or in your house could add to that experience, and maybe we'll see that in the future.
Esperando.
The Killer Instinct fighters are getting
yeah.
up too.
and she's awesome. So, I'm a huge fan of the smart glass, and I always use it while I'm playing.
Yeah.
But I miss some features that complement my experience with the game, like a second screen.
Yeah.
Why this feature is not used frequently? Not even by Microsoft.
Yeah, and maybe this is something that's just more in the way I work with studios. I'm not somebody to force studios to try things. What I do is I try to make sure that we give them the full palette of opportunities of whether it's Kinect, whether it's smart glass, whether it's second screen, and let the creative minds that are much more creative than I am come up with the ideas that will take build the best games. I have my own ideas that I throw in every once in a while. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, just like anyone else.
You should say to them.
Smart glass. We want more smart glass.
Excuse me, I have an idea.
What's that?
No, you're
not
my
mine. Idea. What's your idea? I want to hear it.
Oh, second screen all the time.
All the time.
I love it. I love it.
What do you do with your second screen?
Maps.
Maps, yeah.
It's the best way to localize what you are doing.
Yeah.
Let's suppose you're playing Metal Gear Solid. You have to stop all the time to work
go the map. Yeah. We should send mail to Konami, you and I, Kojima-san.
Okay.
We'll say, hey, we want second screen. The next Metal... Well, he's not working on the next Metal Gear, but that's a whole nother thing.
With so many... You talk about a little bit about this, but with so many devices converging to Windows, do you think in the future, maybe in the next generation, we won't have a console, but something running everything, including games?
No, I think you're going to have a console.
Yes.
I think...
Thank you, God.
I think something that connects to your TV, that your controllers bind to, that connects to your sound system there. I mean, the TV still plays a very special role in someone's house. I mean, we line up all of our furniture to look at this wall because there's a screen on that wall. And I think that environment that you want to play games is great. Yeah, you'll have systems where you can walk in with your phone and it will be able to show up on the screen. But I don't think that's not the same as console gaming.
I'm very happy to hear that. Really,
that's my belief. My belief is that consoles play an important role. Television plays an important role.
Keep your job, please.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'm holding on.
The core of Microsoft has always been the software, but recently the company also approached the hardware.
Yeah.
Kinect, HoloLens, Surface, and Surface Book, Microsoft Band, the Elite controller, and the list goes on. Not to mention Xbox itself. Also, we see Xbox much more integrated in the company presentations. What happened exactly? Is this something Microsoft learned from the Xbox division, or is just a change in the core business?
You know, it was interesting when I took my job. Satya Nadella, the new CEO of Microsoft, had started just a couple months before I did, and we had discussions about gaming. And you know, he was very honest with me. He didn't know much about Xbox or that business, and he wanted to learn. And I think what he's seen in the he came to E3 this year, the first time since 2007 when Bill came to E3 and he was on stage, that we had the CEO of Microsoft there, and he was so happy. I mean, he saw thousands of people yelling and screaming for a Microsoft product, the Xbox. And afterwards, he instantly said, we need to figure out how to learn from how the Xbox team has cultivated fans. And I think you see that showing up in the way that we talk about Surface and we talk about Windows. In fact, a lot of the people that have been around Xbox for a while are now playing roles in what we do in some of the other businesses. And I think that's fantastic. And I think Xbox had to learn that over a decade on our own, right? We had been in the business, not like we're just the smartest people. We had been in the gaming business, and as you know, gamers will tell you exactly what they think if they like or don't like something. So it's been great to see Microsoft evolve as a company that gets our fans, cultivates the fans, understands them more. And if Xbox can help in that, I think it's a great role for us in the company.
Perfect. Now I have two questions for the Phil Spencer player. Okay? Not the boss, the player. First, what's your most loved Xbox One game?
Oh man, you can't ask
Just
me
one.
that. Most loved.
I know you play Destiny a lot.
Yeah, I do. No, but from a love standpoint, man. So
That's the hardest one, I know.
yeah. So there's been some really special games. You know, I think about, I think I have the name right, Never Alone, the Eskimo girl, right? Yeah. Have you played Never Alone? Yeah. You know, it's not a game I had anything to do with. But it's what's right about games, right? It's a game that, and you know, whether I'd say it's my most loved, but it's what I love about games. I met the team, I got to meet the people that were around after it was done, what it was, but they're able to share their culture of what it means to live in Alaska, in that part of the country. They build a great, beautiful game that lets people play together in playing the game. You know, I love co-op games. I love games with a story and a reason to exist. And games like that, you know, I think are really special and should be cultivated by our industry. I love Destiny, I love Halo, I love Forza. I play all of those games, and I think they're an incredibly important part of our industry. But when you see something happen that's special like that, and I'm a sucker for co-op games, then I say, no, like we should take, as an industry, we should hold this up as an example of what's great.
And let's suppose you could bring back 3 games.
Wait, I got Top Spin? No.
No, mine is from the original Xbox, yeah.
Oh, original Xbox.
Yeah, to
well,
the
Phantom Dust.
Xbox One.
Phantom Dust, I
have an idea.
Oh, you have one.
Backward compatibility.
What's one?
Backward compatibility for the.
No, I want that. I said that. Yeah, we have to finish backward compatibility on 360 or for 360 Xbox One. But I want to do original. I want to do that. The team knows that. It's a little bit easier because the original Xbox was x86 as well.
Can we expect it?
I wouldn't expect it yet. I haven't announced it. We haven't started on it. I want to do it, just like I want to do. I mean, you mentioned before. I want to do multi-disc.
I'm already happy. I don't care.
We want to do Battletoads. We want to, like, you know, the team does such great work, and sometimes we have to let them finish what they've done now before we add the next thing.
I know.
Otherwise, you wear them out, and they don't want to work with you anymore.
But the 3 games, you have to choose 3
games.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pick Phantom Dust. because I've already said that one.
Okay.
I'll pick Voodoo Vince because I've told this story before. It was the first game I ever finished with my daughters.
Okay.
So my daughters are sitting next to me. We finished together. They were very young at the time, but they still feel like, that's the game that Dad and I finished together. So I love that.
Perfect.
And I'm going to call it Vince the Voodoo Doll because that was the original name.
Nice one.
That was the original name. So my last original Xbox game that I would bring back. It's not Blinks. It's not Brute Force. Crimson Skies.
Wow.
Crimson's a great game. Mm-hmm. Another Jordan Weissman game. We were talking about Mech Assault before. He did Shadowrun. He did, but Crimson's a game that I think the story, the depth to it, the air combat stuff was a really deep game. We're not working on it, but you asked me the question, I'll answer it. I like Crimson Skies.
Perfect choice.
Yeah, you like those?
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for your time.
No, it's great to be here in Brazil.
Perfect. It was great.
And thanks to everybody who's been behind the scenes. You can't see them.
Yeah,
but
there are a lot of
working
people.
like many hours to make this show happen. And it's I know it's fun, but it's also tiring, and it will go all week. So thank you to all of you for all you've done.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Lindo ou não foi, hein? Curtiram a entrevista? Pois é, mas ó, se liga porque semana que vem tem Twitch, daqui a 15 dias tem Inside de novo. Enquanto isso, o que a gente faz? Posta foto com a hashtag #EuNoInside, gente. No Twitter, no Instagram e no Facebook. E é claro, não esqueçam de fazer o quê? Colocar a cidade, o nome e...
A gamer tag, por favor.
Por favor, gente, pra ficar bonitinho no programa, beleza? Até mais, tchau, tchau.